Well, here we are again with the Raise Your Bars podcast. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, Al. Doing good. We were just talking about the weather, and we're into our sort of stormy season, getting ready for what's predicted to be a pretty active hurricane season. Although we don't really get that too bad in Central Florida, but
Right.
always gets
Yeah. More the
people.
coast.
It's the news, right? People,
Yep.
the news wants to do it, so it gets people worried. And I was listening to the radio today, and they were talking about this was not necessarily a Florida one; it was on Sirius XM, but there was some company advertising buy these 3-month survival kits. I'm like, have
Oh,
I missed something in the news that I'm not aware of that's going on? And it's like, I'm like, good grief. It's so makes me
it's
smile.
crazy the power of the news media,
Yeah,
right? And I mean, we're going to
right.
talk about commitment today. We'll get to that in a minute, but just even the commitment of the news to spread the news and how that
Yeah.
can taint our. I honestly think if the news didn't say that we're in a recession, we wouldn't be in a
We wouldn't
recession, right?
exactly. No.
It's just me, but anyways, yeah, I mean, yeah, you're getting rain down there. It's actually raining cool here, which is good. I mean, our I'm in a farming community, so the with the lack of precipitation we had over the winter, which
Yeah.
means lack of snow, our farmers were a little bit worried about the dry conditions of the soil, but now we've got some rain, probably too much now, but at least
Yeah.
we've got some rain, and that's a good thing. But hey, Chris, we're back with part 5 of our series on, the top 10 reasons people fail. And we're taking this from John Maxwell's book, Failing Forward, which is a great book.
Mhm.
If you haven't read it, folks, I highly recommend that you get it. But reason number 5 tonight, part 5 in our 10-part series, is a weak commitment. A weak commitment.
Yeah. So let's just clarify that it's not a commitment for 7 days. That is not a strong commitment, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So, so I think, what do you think? What do you think leads people to having a weak commitment to something?
Oh gosh, I I think it comes back to one of our favorite topics, really, which is not understanding their purpose and desire. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
mean enough to them. And I can look at things where I've said, oh, I'm gonna like start running or I'm gonna get fit, and I go out in the garage. I've got a little area in the garage where I've got like a treadmill. I've got my um racer bike on like a stand, so I can do like stationary bike. I bought a little workout bench, and I've got like free weights, and it sits out there, and I have the intention to go out and do it, and I don't go and do it. It's a weak commitment. It doesn't mean enough to me, therefore if I miss it, it doesn't matter. And if I then it doesn't, I don't
Yeah.
create those habits, right?
That's
So
because there's no consequences to a lack of commitment in that area in your life right
correct.
now, besides
Yeah.
maybe the pounds stick a little bit
Right.
more, like it tends to do with
Right.
us middle-aged gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah, but then we just use the excuse, "Oh, well, we're getting old, so
No,
it's okay."
exactly. Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's not,
That's actually
so I think, the there was I'm reading a book at the moment again about mind control, and it's talking about what is your reason for doing something, and not so what will the effects be, the positive effects be on you if you do something, right? And so it's not necessarily, let's look at fitness, for example. You could say, well, I want to get fit, so I want to like look better.
right.
Okay, well, does that really matter, right? It doesn't, right? We're not vain enough that it really matters. We're not
Right.
models or anything like that. So what is it is the bigger impact, right? Well, the bigger impact is on health. It's on like living longer. It's on being able to do things that you want to do, right? And so I think if you make the commitment based on those things being the reason why you're doing it, it will probably be a stronger commitment.
Right. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
just one example.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people have great intentions behind things, but
Right.
don't necessarily have the drive or that deepest desire to carry through the discipline it
Mhm.
requires to follow through with doing some of these things.
Yeah.
Like, I know we've talked about this before. I'm a great dreamer, have all these
Mhm.
great ideas, and you bring me a little bit down to reality, which I appreciate. And not in an uncaring way, but just like, hey, I'll think about this, right? And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're right, Chris. That's probably not the best thing to do. And so some people are great dreamers, but they have a hard time implementing.
Right.
And some people start the implementation, have a hard time following through and finishing. And
Yeah.
you're
Well,
right. I think it comes back to that. Do we know our purpose? Do we really have
yeah.
that strong why or that strong
Yeah.
desire behind it?
Yeah. And I think I have a tendency sometimes to act on impulse, right? And therefore I haven't thought it through as to why I'm doing it and what I want the result to be. And it comes back to bars, right? So,
Right.
we have to have a clear picture and a clear understanding and a strong desire to achieve the results and the success that we're looking for. And when we've got that, then we know, okay, these are the behaviors and the actions that I need to do to generate those results and success. Whereas a lot of us tend to just like jump straight in on the behaviors and actions, not knowing what results and success really is, or we've got that weak commitment towards those results and success, and therefore it doesn't work. And there's the saying that I think we've used before. It's like, do you really want it, or do you just want it,
Yeah, that's a good
right?
point. That's
And
a
I
good
think
point.
a lot of people want it, but do they
Yeah,
really want it? That's why New Year's
exactly.
resolutions don't last past Valentine's Day
Right. Exactly,
most of
because
the
they don't really want it. And I think too with the commitment end of things, we find ourselves um, we find ourselves committing to too many things.
right.
Right? And even you and I, right? We committed, we wanted to do all these different things with all these different people, all related to
Yep.
bars, trying to help everyone. And the crazy thing is we knew this, but we did it anyways. As us being vulnerable folks, we knew this because we've heard it many other times. You need to focus, niche down, like who you want to serve, who is your target audience. And again, you and I both, and I probably led by me, my I personality. Hey, let's do all of these things. And we had all these different groups going and all these different programs going. And in the last 4 or 5 months, we really narrowed it down, laser focused, committed to who we really want to serve and help. And I mean, this podcast is available for anybody, obviously, that wants to help. But for the businesses, for the organizations and businesses that we're going to help, there's actually now an application process for them to go through to make sure we're a good fit. And we've narrowed it down to helping business owners, and really specifically brick and mortar business owners, um, that want to increase their bottom line profits and have a more cohesive team and create an excellent company culture, right? And we've got our program to help people with that. So, I mean, we are committed now to that path
Yeah.
where before we were committed to many paths and not having any success.
Yeah, and I think if to anyone listening now, if you didn't listen to last week's podcast on focus, go back and do that, because this really follows on from focus, right? Because we had too many distractions. Most people have too many distractions, and it's that saying that again: if everything is a priority, nothing's a priority. So what is it that you really want, and why do you really want it? Right? What difference is it going to make in your life and in the lives of other people? And what difference will that make to you ultimately? How will that make you feel? And then that will, when you can answer that question and dig deep in it and describe it in as much detail as you can, that will give you that stronger commitment, right? Because then you know what it is you're aiming for. It's like if you get in the car and you say, I'm going on a road trip, and you just get in the car and you drive, where are you going to end up?
End up in circles,
All
driving in
right.
circles, right? Yeah.
So yeah, think about that, and it's that also happens in if you're going on a journey, if you don't know where you're actually going, and then there's a diversion or a roadworks or something like an accident, you go, okay, well, instead of going there, that's too hard now. Let me go over here, right?
Right.
And you end up somewhere different.
Yeah.
And that's effectively what we're talking about with a weak commitment, right? When the going gets tough, if you've got a strong commitment, you will ride it out and you'll overcome that. If you've got a weak commitment, you go, that's too hard.
Yeah,
I don't,
absolutely.
no, I'm not going to do that. Let me go and find something else to do.
Well, listen, let's pull a couple of lines out of the books and discuss that. So the
Mm,
first one I want to talk about is with that, John says, without commitment, you cannot accomplish anything of value. And I think that
yeah,
almost brings us back to us being spread too thin, saying yes to all the good things and missing out on the great.
yeah,
Jim
yeah,
Collins, Good to Great, talks about that. Um, and I've found myself doing that at times in the past
yeah,
where I've said yes to all these amazing things or tried to take on all these crazy things or bought all these courses and all these programs because I thought that would be the thing that's going to really change my business. And all of a sudden, I'm going to have the
mm,
money flowing in, right? But I couldn't focus or commit to anything because I had myself spread out too
yeah,
thin, trying to do all these different things.
yeah. Well, look at like who earns the most money in professions, the generalists or the specialists,
Exactly.
right? And
Yeah,
why do the specialists earn the most money? Because they are focused
at the time. Yeah,
on and committed to doing what it is that they that they've trained to do, right? If
exactly.
you need open heart surgery, you want to go to a heart surgeon. You don't want to
Mhm.
go to your GP. All
Right.
right. The GP
Yeah.
may be a great person. They may know how to do lots of different things sort of reasonably well.
But it's called general practitioner for a reason, right?
Right.
It's
Right.
not called a specialist. Why do you think your general practitioner refers you to a specialist when there's a
Right.
problem? Because
Exactly.
they have a basic understanding and a knowledge of a lot of different things, like I was trying to do, but really focusing in on, which
Hmm.
what Chris and I have done with bars, is really focusing in on
Yeah.
specific things to help people get tangible results
Right.
and real success in what they're working towards versus just you know, a hope it works type of
Yeah.
thing, which the generalists would do.
Well, it's let's talk about the operating theatre as well. What when you look at the operating theatre, you have your surgeon, you have your anaesthetists who knows exactly what it is, and all their job is to do is to watch and make sure that you're
You stay
breathing
asleep.
right, and you stay under, so you don't wake up halfway through the surgery, and then you've got
Right.
your the nurses and assistants that are looking after all the tools, and then there's probably someone that's monitoring the your vital statistics and so on, so
Exactly.
that the surgeon can focus and
Just focus.
concentrate and be committed to what it is that they're doing and nothing else, right?
And when business owners go through our bars program, that's really what we help them do is laser
Yeah,
focus in on the things that matter,
right.
measuring what matters versus trying to work on too many different things and regaining that passion they had for their business. And that passion is going to
Yeah,
give them a renewed commitment to working in their business and working on their business
yeah.
and working with their team. So really good, really good. So John says this, and this is a little bit of a longer section, but we'll read it out here, and if you say stop me, Chris, if something really just jumps into your mind, okay? He says the last time you failed, did you stop trying because you failed, or did you fail because you stopped trying? What was your level of commitment? Did you give the task everything you had? Did you go the extra mile? Did you put enough of yourself on the line to guarantee that you would give your very best? I
Mm,
like that. Did you put enough of yourself on the line,
yeah,
right? Do you have skin in the game? Could be
yeah,
another way of saying it.
yeah. It's true, and I think if people are honest with themselves, like us included, there's very few things that I would say that you gave that not you that we as individuals give everything to.
Yep.
All right, and I think that there is that tendency to be a little half-assed, if you like, right?
Yeah.
And try it and say, well,
Mhm.
I'm going to see it. If it doesn't work, then okay, I'm going to do something else.
Right.
In my book that's up here, The 10 Steps to Freedom, I talked about it when I was a kid, where my parents would say I would have these what they call 5-minute wonders. And I'd want to do something. I'd do it for a little while, and then when it gets tough, I'd be go, well, what else can I do? Let me go and do something
Something
else,
else.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that then becomes a habit that you do things and you think, oh, okay, because we're taught. And we're sort of bouncing around a bit here, but we're taught when we get to those 11, 12, 13 years old that failure is bad, right? We're taught not to push ourselves because if we fail, people are going to laugh at us, or it might hurt or whatever. Yet when you look at 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds, they will be fully committed to something.
Yeah.
They will. Look at when we
Yeah.
when we learned to ride a bike, right? How many times did we fall off that bike, and how many times did we get back up? All right, this is assuming you learned how to ride a bike, of course. But if you did, um, excuse me, you always got up one more time than
All
you
the
fell
time.
down, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be learning it, right?
Yeah.
You'd be doing something else. You'd be walking, right? So we should learn and observe children at play and children doing things because they have not got that fear, right? They don't have the fear of failure. They are fully committed to something. Watch a toddler when they're learning to walk, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
determination,
I
that's
know.
focus, that's commitment, right? That's really wanting to do it.
Yeah. And I think too, even just talking about this, put enough of yourself on the line, and that's why one of the reasons we stopped doing free programs. It's not that we
Yeah.
don't want to help people, but we've seen it over and over and over again. If you offer something for free, people get all excited about it, hyped up about it. They jump in for the first 1 or 2 weeks, and then they're gone.
Yeah.
They disappear. They don't
Yeah.
have any skin in the game. Of
Yeah.
course, we've also seen that people with paid, right? They
Right.
paid and they just disappeared. We had
Yeah.
one client that paid us for 6 months and never showed up to anything, and
Right.
I finally just canceled their membership because I felt terrible taking their money.
It's same thing again, right? It didn't mean enough to them.
No,
Right,
exactly.
and people will say, "Yeah, I'll jump in, I'll do that," but if it doesn't mean enough to you, it doesn't matter if you paid for it or not.
No, exactly.
People are not gonna follow through if it doesn't mean enough to them, right?
Yeah,
So is the reward of doing it greater than the pain of not doing it,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And if it isn't, they're not gonna do it.
exactly.
Right. So look at yourself. And that's really the I think the takeaway for this week is to take a hard, long look at yourself and understand, are you all in? Right? Is there something that you are fully committed to that you want to achieve, you want to do?
Yeah,
And if not, why not? Right? What's stopping you?
yeah, and I think too, if you're fully committed, when you hit those bumps in the road, just like Chris said, riding a bike, kids learning how to walk, they're fully committed to
Yeah.
mastering that task. If we're fully committed to running our business, to building our team, to increasing our sales, to increasing our bottom line,
Yeah.
to controlling our expenses, when we hit those bumps in the road in life, that is going to happen. We lose a good person in our business, or our costs unexpectedly go up, or the margin takes a hit because the expenses are out of control, or you've had to discount something in order to
Yeah.
clear some old inventory, whatever it may
Yeah.
be, right? Whatever it may be, it doesn't mean it's a failure. It just means it might take us a little bit longer to course correct and get back
Mm.
on track again.
Do you know, I just
And as long as your commitment
yeah.
level is there, you will be able to do it, and you'll eventually have the success that you're looking for.
Yeah. And this applies to everything in life, to be honest. Like whatever, we've talked about fitness, you can talk about diet, you can talk about personal growth, you can talk about your education, career, whatever it is. Um, but even just leading your teams, and we're studying in the Leadership Academy, we're studying becoming a person of influence.
Good.
And we had the first book study this week on it, and there was we were talking about nurturing. The first one is integrity, right, and doing
Right.
the right thing even when no one's looking,
Yes.
and then it goes
Yeah.
into nurturing. And it was interesting because people were talking about, oh yeah, like they talked a lot about COVID and how through adversity we learn to nurture people and so on. And I'm like listening and going, yeah, but we should be doing that all of the time. All right. So what we got to look at, and we did the programs through COVID that John came out with. We're turning adversity into advantage, right?
Yes. Yep.
Why is it that humans, we seem to want to wait for things to go wrong before we start to do the right things, and we only do them when things are wrong, and then when they get right again, we stop doing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Is
Yep.
that a weak commitment?
Yes. I think it is. It is
Yeah.
absolutely a weak commitment, right? Because, again, it gets to the point where something pushes us to the point where it hurts too much to not do something. So we're forced to do it.
Yeah.
And then things get better and we stop doing it for some reason. But
Right.
doing the stuff that we're talking about here, like even with that and becoming a person of influence,
Yeah.
the integrity things, and that's something, right? Why wouldn't we want to do it all the time? That just
Yeah.
makes our world a better place.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
we're at 20 minutes already. How did that happen? Okay, so challenge for this week. I think it would just be to examine your own level of commitment
Yeah.
with what you're doing in your business and your organization with your team. Are you fully committed? And if you're not, why not? Right?
Yeah.
Start
Find
examining the
something.
why.
Yeah. Find something that you can be committed to, that you want
Mhm,
to be committed to,
mhm.
that is going to make a difference in your life or in other people's lives, allow you to help them and make a difference,
Yeah,
and do it. Right now, we can talk about, we do this podcast for free, right? We do it every week, unless like I'm away next week and you fill in and do something like you did with Ezekiel, but we're committed to doing it.
yes.
We don't get anything from this. Well, we do personally, because as we talk about it, we actually grow and develop ourselves as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we get it, but financially or business wise, we don't get anything out of it. But we're committed to doing it because you and I, Al, we want to make a difference to people, right?
Absolutely.
And we don't necessarily see it, but I'm sure that there are a few people that listen to our podcast week in, week out that we do make a difference to.
I would
We
hope
don't
so.
want any reward for it. We don't want
No,
necessarily to reach out, but if we know that we're making that difference, that's paying us back effectively for the commitment that we're making.
absolutely.
Right. So what is it that you are committed about? And if you're not, then find something, right? And
Yes.
then really get that picture clear in your mind of what it will mean to you to follow that commitment. Make it so strong, it's that white hot burning desire that we've talked about from Think and Grow Rich, and then do something about it.
Something about it.
All right.
So good. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Find us at raiseyourbars.com. This was part 5 of our 10-part series on the top 10 reasons people fail. Next time, which will be 2 weeks from now, because Chris will be on vacation, we're going to talk about an unwillingness to change.
Cool.
That's part 6, an
I look
unwillingness to
forward to that
change.
one.
That'll be good. All
Yeah.
right. Raiseyourbars.com. Find us there, folks, and have an amazing week. Take care.
Bye.